Hey, what's up guys? It's Zeke from A to Zeke Sports and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing a lot of topics, so before we get into that, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, A to Zeke Sports, and please turn on notifications so you don't miss a single piece of A to Zeke content. The first topic we're going to get into today is the NHL playoffs. We've gotten down to the finals. I know we don't talk about hockey very much on this channel, but I think because we've gotten to the finals, I'm going to do a brief segment on it. So this has been a really interesting series to watch so far. There have been 2 overtime games, and currently the Lightning lead the Stars 3-2 in the series. Game 6 is going to be tomorrow on NBC at 7 o'clock Central Time. It's going to be 8 Eastern Time. And so you're really going to tune into that. So the Stars won the first game 4-1. It was a pretty dominating game for them, but then the Lightning proceeded to win 3 straight games. All of them were very close games. The third of that was an overtime win, 5-4, and then Game 5 was an overtime win for the Stars, 3-2. And so this is going to be a very interesting series to watch. The Lightning were expected to have a very good season going into this season, they, just like the Lakers, they were considered to be one of the top teams going into their playoffs, and none of these games have fans, so if you want to tune into that, there aren't going to be any fans, but it should be a very exciting game to watch. The next of the topics I want to talk about is the NBA playoffs. So, as you probably have all seen on the news, the Clippers, who had such high expectations going into the season, have lost 4-3 to the Denver Nuggets, coming at the hands of a triple-double by Nikola Jokic and 40 points by Jamal Murray, who's been so very impressive in these playoffs. And I think this might be coming out of the coming out of a superstar in Jamal Murray. He's just really shown out in these playoffs, and I think he might be stepping into maybe a top 20 player in the NBA role. He's still very young, still in his early 20s, and so be able to see what he can do. And so the Celtics and Heat are still battling it out. They play today at 6:30. The Heat with a 3-2 lead over the Celtics. Going into this series, I thought the Celtics would probably win. The Heat had been on fire in the playoffs so far, but the Celtics had such a built roster. But Jimmy Butler has really performed well. Bam Adebayo, one of the most improved players this year. And Duncan Robinson making all those threes, and the recent pickup of Jay Crowder from the Memphis Grizzlies. And so the Lakers, after the Nuggets had just defeated the Clippers, the Lakers defeated them 4-1, just like all the other series. They beat the Trailblazers 4-1, then they beat the Rockets 4-1, and now the Nuggets, they've beaten 4-1. And so right now, I think either team they play, the Heat or the Celtics, they will be the favorite to win. LeBron James had a dominating game. He put up a triple-double in that game, and it was really awesome to watch. And so going into this, I think I'm gonna pick the Heat to win this series against the Celtics, just because of how they've played so far, how they've dominated in the playoffs. The Celtics did sort of take advantage of some poor 3-ball shooting by the Heat in Game 5, winning 121-108. Jimmy Butler didn't play particularly well in that game. That was mostly owned just by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They put up 31 and 28 points respectively. And so that's pretty much what you're going to watch for the NBA right now. So that game is going to be on ESPN tonight, the Heat versus Celtics, Game 6 at 7:30 Eastern Time. And it'll be awesome to watch, see how these playoffs unfold. And yeah, it's been good to watch. So moving on to NCAA football, it was the first week of SEC yesterday, and a couple of teams were playing. We've had some interesting games so far, but really the first big games came up this week. Number 3, Oklahoma, who's 1-0, upset by 0-1 Kansas State 38-35. This is the second year in a row Kansas State has beaten Oklahoma, and Oklahoma did pass the ball a lot with Spencer Rattler, but he wasn't all too consistent. I mean, it's hard to follow up. They've had Baker Mayfield, Heisman winner, then Kyler Murray, Heisman winner. Jalen Hurts was the finalist for Heisman winner. So he has some big shoes to fill there. And then one of the games I enjoyed the most watching, this wasn't an SEC game, but it was a Big 12 game. That was one of the most exciting games, I think, that we have seen so far. It was a 63-56 victory, Texas over Texas Tech in overtime. There were a couple of blocked punts, blocked kicks. There was a lot of crazy plays. It was a shootout, as most Big 12 games are. There was 2 onside kicks that were recovered during this game, and that was just an amazing game to watch. And then I think Sam Ehlinger will be a very a player you'll need to keep your eye on going into the NFL draft, because as of active players right now, he is leading in many of the major categories, such as pass yards, pass touchdowns responsible for. He's all first in those categories. So among active players in the FBS right now, he is performing. He has the best stats, and an amazing career by him. And then the defending champions of college football, number 6 LSU, defeated 44-34 by Mississippi State. And KJ Costello, a transfer from Washington State, known for the air raid offense he played under there, he threw for 623 yards. Think about that. Like, barely anyone does that, NFL or college. Tacking on 5 touchdowns with that, only 2 interceptions, one of them a pick 6. And they threw the ball. He went 36 for 60, so they threw the ball 60 times compared to only rushing the ball 13 times in that game. So Mississippi State is really going to be airing it out this season. And I think they're going to be a team to watch in the SEC. And then I could see them beating Georgia this year. Georgia not looking super good against Arkansas, only a 37-10 victory, and some shaky play there. So LSU, they really struggled, losing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow, the Heisman winner. Jamar Chase was sitting out. Justin Jefferson was drafted. Derek Stingley was sitting out, and a multitude of other defensive players. Or Derek Stingley was out with an illness the day before the game, but a multitude of players drafted from their defense. And so this team is definitely not going to be what it was last year, and losing to Mississippi State really kind of showed that. And just Miles Brennan really isn't Joe Burrow. He did have a decent statistical game, 27 for 46, 345 yards. He had 2 interceptions, though, 3 touchdowns. And then their running game is definitely going to need to increase. They didn't have a single running back run for over 50 yards, and no running touchdowns in this game. Only 3 touchdowns by Miles Brennan, and then some field goals. So this really is going to need to be something they'll need to improve upon. I don't really see them in the hunt to win the SEC title or make it to the playoffs this year. So that's really something you're going to need to look out for. The games I would recommend to watch in the upcoming week, not a lot of superstar games, but number 2 Alabama playing number 10 Texas A&M, and we're going to see Mac Jones, what he can do as in the starting position at Alabama, and Najee Harris in his second year as the full-time starting running back for Alabama against Texas Tech, Kellen Mond, and their coaching of Jimbo Fisher. We'll see if he can turn things around a little bit. He's had high expectations since coming to Texas A&M, but never really put anything together despite some bowl appearances. Also, number 8 Auburn will be playing number 4 Georgia on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern Time. That is going to be a game that will be critical to the outcome of college football. It's going to be, remember, it's 8 versus number 4, top 10 matchup. It's going to be a great game to watch. And just moving on, the NFL, there's been some good games. I don't really, to be honest, after watching the Chiefs in just a couple games, I don't really see them as contenders this year. The Raiders is one team that are red hot. I'm not going to talk too much about the NFL. We're going to wrap up this video. But the Raiders have been red hot. Win over the Saints on Monday Night Football. And we're seeing interesting things play out. After 2 weeks, the Bills are sitting out atop the AFC East division, the Patriots being 1-1. I think the Bills, it's really just the Bills and the Patriots who are going to have to battle it out. I've been very impressed with the Patriots. They're a lot better than I thought they would be. Cam Newton is having a terrific season so far, and Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs now at his disposal, and Devin Singletary have a very high-powered offense, so that's going to be awesome to watch. To be honest, as of right now, I would probably predict the Raiders to beat the Chiefs. They're both 2-0 in the AFC West, and then the Chargers being 1-1, and the Broncos 0-2 with a multitude of injuries, just like the 49ers over in the NFC West. And then, of course, I think the AFC North, even though the Steelers started out 2-0, it's probably going to be the Ravens. I could see them going to the Super Bowl this year. And then the Titans also doing very well in the AFC South, as I mentioned earlier. In the NFC West, the 49ers are actually last in the division right now. All their teams, the Cardinals, who have been red hot, the Rams and Seahawks are all 2-0. The 49ers, you can tell it's a good division when the 49ers are the worst best team as of right now. Garoppolo injured, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, and Nick Bosa. They're going to be very limited in the next few games, but they will bounce back. And then the Vikings not having quite the season that they have in the last couple. The Packers have really come back with Aaron Rodgers leading them. And then the Saints and Buccaneers are going to be battling it out in the NFC South. And so just a little segment on the NFL right now, just to let you guys know how things are rolling. And right now as I speak, the Raiders are playing the Patriots. That's going to be the game of the week, I think. And it's Raiders 3, Patriots 6 in the second quarter. And that's going to wrap up our episode of A to Zeke Sports. Again, please subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. And like the video. And that's going to be it for A to Zeke Sports. Thank you so much for watching.